Real Estate Investing Profits presents Profit Masters with your host, world-renowned real estate coach and investor, Corey Boatwright. Now, strap in and get ready to learn elite wealth-building investment strategies taught by 6- and 7-figure house flipping masters as they reveal their best real estate investing profit secrets to you right now.
What is going on, party people? This is Corey Boatwright. I am your host of Real Estate Investing Profit Master podcast series, also the CEO and founder of realestatinvestingprofits.com. I hope you're having a phenomenal, fun day today. I'm going to bring you another incredible interview, and this is with Heather Dreves, okay? And what's interesting about Heather, she worked at CLS as a director of securities and private investor relations, where she oversaw investor relations and sold over $17 million in private money loans. Additionally, she managed the loan processing administration and originated $3 million in revolving lines of credit for hard money funding operations. And that's a cherry on top, she also holds her Series 6-3 certification. So this gal really is impressive. She knows her stuff backwards and forwards, sideways, and you're going to learn quite a bit from really what she's doing today and how she's kind of focused on working with investors. But also, you're going to have an opportunity to, if you want to deploy some capital, maybe you have that and you're looking at that. Right now, she's getting some pretty strong returns, on average of like 12%. And also, she's looking at loaning out money. So if you want to loan her money, or you want to get some money that she wants to loan you for some of your hard money deals, I'm telling you, her rates are pretty daggum aggressive. And I think you're going to really like what she has to say. So make sure you check out the show notes. I put everything there for you to make it easy. By the way, have you downloaded your Down and Dirty Ultimate Real Estate Investing Quick Start Guide yet? If you haven't, text the word profit to 38470. That's the word profit to 38470. Instantly, like magic, it will be downloaded to your phone. Click on that link, and now you have the PDF, and you can go through the book. I hope you enjoy it. Also, if you're interested in taking your real estate investing game to another level, I'd like to talk with you and see if you're a good applicant for coaching and mentoring. It's one of you hear in every single one of the interviews, I ask how important it's been to each one of the guests, and 99% of the time, they either say that it was one of the biggest kind of jump starts to really getting to where they want to go the fastest, or they wish they would have done it sooner. Okay. So there's a reason of why coaching is so important, because it gives you a different perspective. So if you're interested in taking your real estate investing game to another level, getting some different eyeballs on your business, make sure you go to realestatinvestingprofits.com and click on the coaching link at the very top. All right, here you go. Here is Heather Dreves. Heather, are you there?
I'm here.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great today. Thanks for asking. How about yourself?
I am doing phenomenal. Thanks for asking as well. Thanks for taking the time to be on the show here. And, we bring on some incredible guests. And so I know you're going to bring some interesting things to the table here, because you're attacking real estate investing, not just from the investing side, but you also work in the private sector with funding. And what I'd like to know is kind of what is your expertise right now with real estate investing, and how you got involved in real estate investing and with the funding aspect with the private sector?
Sure. Yeah. Well, about 12 years ago, I come from actually Spokane, Washington, and I got involved with a company out of
Spokane. That's where Microsoft is, right?
No, they're out of Seattle.
Okay.
Spokane is where Gonzaga basketball is. So if you're a basketball fan, Gonzaga is in Spokane. So we are east of Seattle.
Gotcha.
So I got started with a company out of Spokane that was a private lender. We really specialized in helping owner-occupants that were not qualified enough to get bank loans back in the day get what they referred to as Section 32 loans. So they were a lot of self-employed people that couldn't prove income, things of that nature.
The exotic loans and the no income, no asset loans, right?
Exactly.
Right, Nina loans.
We also service real estate investors that were buying investment properties.
Sure.
So I got started there. Actually got started as a loan officer's assistant, and quite honestly have worked my way through a private money company from the start to the end. I helped in escrow. I do closing docs. And we were actually a licensed securities dealer. And what that means is we sold our notes to private lenders, people that had assets that they wanted to deploy in notes. And we were a licensed securities broker dealer. So I carried my Series 63 license.
Wow, impressive.
Yeah, and the reason that we actually had to do that is in the state of Washington, if you sell fractional interest in notes, you had to carry a securities license.
Okay.
So I worked my way into the securities department, helping prepare loan packages for our lenders to review, to make the decision whether they wanted to move forward with funding. So that was about 12 years ago. I have been with Secured Investment Corp and Collateral Capital for the last 4 years.
Okay, is that your company or one you're working with as a partner?
I work for Secured Investment Corp.
Okay.
That is our parent company, and Secured Investment Corp is where our lenders go that want to deploy capital. And they can either do that in one-off notes, or we have 2 high-yield funds. And then Cogo Capital is underneath Secured Investment Corp, and we provide financing for real estate investors. Gotcha. People that are fixing and flipping properties, people that are refinancing investment properties that they own. We are a short-term private money lender.
Gotcha. Okay, so we've had, thanks for talking about that, because that gives us a good kind of 10,000 foot view of kind of what you're doing. Eddie Speed is a good friend of mine. He's also been on here on the show. Do you know Eddie? He does a lot of self-directed, or he does a lot of seller finance notes.
Yes. I have never met him, but I am familiar with who he is. Yeah.
Sure. I can introduce you to Eddie. He's actually doing some hog hunting right now with one of my really good friends. Actually, 2 of one of my business clients and another really good friend of mine, Jason. They're doing some hog hunting this time. But Eddie's quite the character. Love Eddie. He's doing some big things with notes. So why don't we go into a little bit more about, were you always doing this kind of business, or before this, did you have a breaking point of what you wanted to do? And, something was maybe, you weren't just happy with where you were and you knew there was something different, or did you always just kind of have this nice trajectory of you always knew what you wanted to do and just follow the path?
Actually, my background originally started in sales. I've done a lot of different types of sales.
Okay.
My husband and I, when we started having children, decided I was going to stay home with them until they went into school.
Okay.
So when both of our boys were in elementary school about 12 years ago, I decided I was ready to go back into the workforce. I knew there was a lot of opportunity in real estate, whether that's on the investing side, originating side. I have a little bit of background in that from my parents. They've done very well for themselves purchasing and selling real estate. And I actually had a friend that worked for a private money lender. Didn't know a ton about private money at the time, but was very happy I got my foot in the door, because it definitely opens up a lot of doors for you.
Absolutely.
So that was kind of how I got started in it.
Now when you're referring to private money, you're not referring to hard money. Have you ever done hard money?
In essence, it's really the same thing. We like to call it private money. I think in the past, most hard money and private money lenders have been really just equity based. With the equity there, we're going to do the loan. One of the things that we pride ourselves on here at our company, at Cogo and Secured Investment Corp, is we call it Storybook Lending. Doesn't make sense. Can the borrower get in and out of the loan? So we do put a little more emphasis now on the borrower, not just the equity in the property.
Right. You're getting a little bit of an echo on your computer. I don't know, maybe if the volume or the mic, but it's got a little bit of echo.
Turn it down?
Yeah, just a little bit. I think that'd be all right, because I think you're getting a little bit of that back and forth. Yeah, a little better there. So did you have a deal that you remember involved with real estate, or even really involved with lending, that was a mistake? That you learned through the process, and that maybe you could teach on what you did incorrectly, or what you learned through that process, like kind of like one of your worst deals?
Sure. You know, we learn every day here because we actually service the notes here at our company.
Right. It's a big
So
difference. Right.
not only do we sell the notes to lenders, we help them get their money back. I mean, that ultimately is the goal. So, you know, it's hard to say one story. You know, one of the things that we've started looking at that has came to our attention over the past few years is property taxes and things of that nature. You know, we have funded notes and lenders have had to foreclose on them, and at the time that they foreclosed, we realized, wow, there's a lot of back property taxes.
Yeah, $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000 sometimes on a little property, right? Yeah,
out of Ohio. Yeah. And so we are constantly learning. I mean, that's something every scenario we're like, how could we have done that differently?
Right, because you think you could buy that house for $1,500 and think it's a steal, and all of a sudden then you get another $4,000 or $5,000 in taxes.
And
on top of that, with super liens too, which still attached to the property, and some other things like that.
Absolutely. And I think, like I kind of touched on, one of the things that we do a better job at now is really making sure that borrowers have the wherewithal to get out of the loan. You know,
due diligence is really strong too. It's important whenever you're involving, you know, this type of money and these type of scenarios, especially when you're not living at that location, right? Because all real estate's local. And so, you know, when you're, I'm sure you're doing a lot of lending outside of your states.
Absolutely.
All around. Yeah. And so are you servicing all around the country?
Yes, we're in most states. Okay. There's a few that we are not in: Arizona, Oregon.
Right.
We're doing a lot in New York, New Jersey, Ohio, and we're out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, North Idaho. So we rely really heavily on appraisals. Yep. That we actually have a third-party company order. We do a lot of inspections. We use a third-party inspection company because we don't have boots on the ground necessarily in every single state that we're in.
Sure.
And we really need to understand the condition of the property, what exactly the rehab is involved that, you know, needs to take place. So we do use those types of services to make sure that we have a good understanding of where the property's at.
Sure. There's another hard money lender, a good friend of mine, also a client that has a fund, investment fund. If you go to tempofunding.com, if you ever heard of Mike Slotnick,
yes,
he's a very good friend of mine. You might write that down. There may be some synergy
sure.
between you guys there too. He's a great guy. He's kind of more of a boutique lender, but he really has a good track record over 20 plus years doing the business and still going strong. So I just want to say that before I forgot it. Well, that's good. Yeah, I think due diligence is really important. I also think kind of putting the onus on the person you're working with more is important too. I think sometimes this day and age, it's easy just to kind of give everybody everything to kind of work with you because the options are so big and broad. And I always tell folks that people aren't with you necessarily because you're the cheapest, right? And I think sometimes people get into that rate game so much where I can go get a half a quarter point over here better, or they're not charging me any point. And at the end of the day, people aren't going to be with you and work with you for long term because you're the cheapest. And that's not the reputation you necessarily want. You're not building a Walmart business, especially when you're involved with lending. You're building a quality business. You're building a reputation. You're building a track record.
Right.
And I know that's hugely important. Let's talk about a Profit Master investing strategy. On this particular section is where if you're a real estate investor, you would talk about maybe your marketing strategy that's really working well, or something that's really kind of given you the edge. What's that thing that's given you the edge that kind of sets you apart from everyone else out there, Heather?
One of the things that helped me get started in the business, and it first started with the first private money company I worked with. I usually worked with local lenders. Our lenders came in my office every single day. We sat down, we talked about files. It was a relationship I was building with them. When I came over to Cogo Capital, my challenge that challenged me and made me go outside of my box was a lot of our lenders I'm speaking with on the phone. They may not see people I'm meeting face to face. But it's still a relationship that I have to build with these lenders. You know, these are people I talk to every day that are trusting us with their retirement accounts, their 401ks, their IRAs. I pride myself on the fact that I'm very transparent to a fault. I'm going to give you the good good, bad, and the ugly of the deal.
I like that. I personally like that. I like the transparency. Sure.
Yeah. So that's been my strategy. It's supposed to be an honest person and be true to who I am. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. And the way that we look at the deals when they come through, and I do help with underwriting and structuring the deals here at the company, is it may not be a perfect deal. It may not be a perfect borrower, a perfect property. We try to look for what the pluses of it are. You know, we may not be able to do the deal the way that the borrower wants us to structure it, but we'll sit down and be creative and say, we may not do it this way, but here's a way we would do it and feel secure doing the deal. So we try to be transparent to the borrower too. And, you know, we've told borrowers, hey, this isn't a good deal for you. There's not enough profit in it. One of the things we do at our company is we actually educate people how to buy and sell real estate, how to go in, buy it cheap, rehab it, and make a profit.
How do you do that? Because a lot of companies don't want to be in the education business. I know that it takes time, it takes, effort, and it can be sometimes pretty tedious and non, where it doesn't give back to you. People don't understand this game, especially new guys that just got out of a seminar. How do you go and educate them?
Well, we first and foremost put on seminars and events to attract people that want to become educated about buying investment properties. We also have specialized events that teach how to rehab it. We also teach people how to broker it or broker a loan.
How often do you put on those events and how long are the events?
They're typically a 3 to 4 day event.
Okay.
And we put on 2 to 3 of them a month all over the state.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then a big part of that is actually mentoring these people. It's one thing to get them to come to our event, but the biggest challenge is having them take action. We have success accountability programs that will actually coach these people because you know as well as I do, a lot of people attend them and then they never do anything with the information.
A majority of them do that, right?
And it's a shame because personally, my husband and I are in the middle of a flip. We finally took advantage of the education I've learned here, and we're in the middle of a flip. There's a lot of things I would do differently. One is I would not be demoing myself and hanging cabinets.
Right.
But it's been great for me to be on that side of it because I've always been so lender specific.
So now you're seeing the other side of the investing side of it and the flip side of it and where that money's actually going and how the money's being applied and all that, right? Now you're saying a flip, you're talking about a fix and flip. You're not necessarily talking about a wholesale flip.
No, we're fixing and flipping it. We bought it at auction.
Okay.
We went in and demoed it. It was a very challenging property with a giant hole in the roof.
Wow. Talk about your first flip, demoed the whole property.
Yeah.
Go big or go home.
We'll do pretty well on it. The market's hot here right now, especially for the price range that it'll be in. So we should net about $50,000 off of it.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's taking us a while.
What's the price point out there in the median for or what'd you take it down for?
So we bought it for $100 at auction. We'll have into it, including holding costs, about another $50, and then we will put it on the market for $220.
Nice. Congratulations. Yeah, that works all day long. And, it's funny because some folks, they want to get involved with fix and flip and they've never even done like their first wholesale deal or they've never even done anything with real estate and they want to go right into fix and flip. I always recommend that that's not the way you go. I kind of look almost like real estate investing as an ascension in a way because, when you can understand, we focus heavily on, I have my own rental properties. I've done short sales. I've done fix and flips. I've done a ton of stuff, but we didn't start there. And so now we focus on wholesaling because it's the fastest way for someone to actually get a result. They get a paycheck and they can get the confidence that this thing actually works. If you go right into a fix and flip, one is you got to go get private money from you or someone else. Yep. Now you've got money. Now you got you've got everything else that's kind of riding on this deal. And so it's just harder entry point to get in that way. Right. I think it's really smart to understand, have an understanding of the game before you go right into certainly even demoing a property. My gosh, I mean, that must be a lot of lessons you're learning through this process.
Yeah, it's been great for us. Actually, one of the strategies we teach at what we call our funding tour, that's one of our events that teaches people to go out, find the deals, make the offer. But the first strategy that we teach them is the wholesale the deal. First and foremost, if you can wholesale it, wholesale it.
Yep.
Because like you said, your holding costs are less, you're not holding it as long, you're getting that profit. So I completely agree with you.
Yeah, I believe that's one, just kind of an ascension model, if you will. I've seen that just the confidence is what matters a lot. You can get wrapped up in the wrong situation if you're not careful. I mean, I've had people come on and talk about their horrible stories of things they're involved in.
Right.
But I'm really happy that you're going to do well on that. That sounds great.
Yeah, it's been a great learning experience.
What is one piece of advice that you would give on running a successful real estate business?
My best piece of advice, like I touched on, is be true to your clients.
Okay.
I truly believe being honest with people, and I think there's a lot of private money lenders out there that are really specific to the lender side of it, and some more to the borrowers, and they don't really care what the lenders are getting into. We really pride ourselves, and I think me personally, being in the industry, is we want it to be a win for both sides. We don't want to put a borrower in a loan that they can't ever get out, they're not going to make any money on. And on the other side of it, I don't want to put a lender in a loan that I know a borrower is never going to make a payment on, or if they have a hiccup, they can't get out of it. So I just think, being honest and true. I think private money and hard money has had kind of a bad reputation in the past.
Right.
But I think it's definitely a way of the future. Banks are not easing up their lending criteria, especially on investment properties. It's a great tool for real estate investors that want to take down properties quickly.
Right.
A lot of our clients, our borrowers, look at it as just a cost of doing business. It's just a cost that they factor into the whole deal. So
I've been making some notes here for the show notes on some things on what we discussed so far, because I think it's going to be important to be able to have some people get in touch with you and see if there's a way that they can find something there. I want to go through in a little bit, kind of find out your criteria. We'll talk about that towards the end here. But if you had to start all over again, how would you do it differently?
Me personally, as far as my goals for myself and my family, I would have got into actually investing in real estate personally quicker. Even though I'm in the private industry, it's kind of scary. My husband and I are both busy. We have full-time jobs. We have teenagers. I definitely see the opportunity and the ability to really create some wealth for your family. I would have done it a lot sooner. Yeah.
And it's so funny you say that, Heather, because the other guy that's a real estate investor is saying, I think it's scary to be in the lending business. To get my securities license. I mean, you're talking about, that's a little bit more intimidating for those folks. So I guess the perspective is what matters, right?
Yep. I think what's scary is what you don't know, the unknown.
What you don't know. That's right. You can always learn. And there's a 99.9% chance that you're not going to die from making a quote mistake. I don't really believe in failure as much anymore as I do. It's just learning.
Well, you don't learn if you're not making mistakes.
You gotta get through it. What's a good or favorite motivational quote that you have around your office or that you like a lot?
One of the things that I get a lot of calls from lenders that'll call, well, I don't have $100,000, so I probably can't be a lender. There's a quote, and I do a webinar every other week, and some of my lenders call it the home shopping network. I present like 10 loans that they can fund, and they invite their neighbors over, which is kind of odd to me, but they enjoy it.
Right.
One of the things that a lot of them say is, I don't have a lot of money. How do I get started? And I don't have the specific quote, but it's something to the effect of, there's no amount that's too small, but you have to get started in order to create that wealth. If it's 10 grand, if it's $15,000, you can always partner up with a family member, but you have to get started to start creating wealth.
So true that, most people stay in that fear zone, right? Where they see on the other side of it the things they want to do, but it's comfortable. In the fear zone, it's comfortable because, then everything outside of that is almost like, that might be what you want, but going to get it takes the effort. Right. And going to get it is going to be overcoming and almost like jumping out of the fishbowl right? And then risking your life because there's no water out there. What the reality is that once you jump out of the fishbowl, you probably land in an ocean and you don't realize it. You know, you think you're just going to sit there and die. But that's a good way to think about it is, you gotta take action. You gotta move forward. Do you have a book that you recommend or one that's really changed your life?
We actually, at our company, our owners of our company assign a book report every month, and they actually pay the employees to read it.
I love that.
You have to do a 6-paragraph book report and get up presented to the company. We have a staff meeting every week.
Now, how many folks do you have working with you?
We have about 35.
Okay.
They actually pay us $100 to read a book and do a book report, but they're all books that are assigned to better yourself. We just recently read one. It was called The Power of Habit. I found it very interesting. It was a great book. I want my kids to read it.
I love that.
But it's habits. You know, it's creating good habits, stopping bad habits. And I truly believe in that. I kind of come from an athletic background. So, you know, a lot of what they talked about, I can relate to in my past.
You already knew what it took to get into that consistency habit.
Sure.
Right.
And that's one of the things we teach our clients at our events is habits, sending out letters, making a certain amount of phone calls every month or every week, you know, to find those deals. It's really just creating good habits and being consistent with it. I really like that book.
I love that. Yeah. I've read that book. It's very, very good. The next one you should read is called, maybe you make a few suggestions, called The One Thing by Gary Keller.
Oh, okay.
And it is this, it's really powerful, but basically the concept is we think we have 50 things to do, but there's really just one most important thing that if you don't get that one done, then all the other ones don't really, I mean, that one's gotta happen. And we all have kind of the one thing per kind of different list that we make. And, he's very good on focus and creating that one thing. So I highly recommend.
Yeah, that sounds like a great book.
To check that book out. I think you'd really like it. Okay. So do you have a favorite mobile app that you use on a daily basis?
Not necessarily daily. I have started using the First American app, more often, just because I'm looking at properties all the time now. My creative juices are flowing.
Right.
So that is one definitely I've been using.
First Am's really good. Truly, actually, it's a very good app.
Okay.
Really, really good app. And there's another one called Movoto that actually has really good pictures of properties, and another one that's called HomeSnap, that whenever we have our team go out and they look at pictures of, or they go up to addresses of property, they can take a picture, a snapshot of the address, and it pulls up all of the corresponding data around the neighborhood and everything else on the app. And that's a really cool app too. It's called HomeSnap.
Oh. We use a couple websites similar to that. We use REI Black Book.
Yep, I know Damon real well. Yep.
And then we actually have a link on our website, on our COVA website, for what we call a collateral DNA. So you can put a property address in, and it will pull up demographics, median and high sales price. It'll take into consideration comps and rents and things like that.
Where's that pulling the data from?
It pulls it from multiple places. Our IT department worked on creating that. We actually have been talking about a mobile app. We haven't got that far yet. But it's very similar to REI Black Book, but it's called a Collateral DNA Report.
Okay, so we're in the process of doing our data, our beta testing on our new software, and basically it's like the price line of real estate comps. Okay. And so we're pulling from Property Shark, we're pulling from Realtor.com, we're pulling from Trulia, we're pulling from Zillow, and we're pulling from Realtor.com. Which that one's hard to be able to get that because there's a certain amount of calls that they'll allow and how you get all this data. But we're in the process right now to do that beta test. So I will, if I remind myself and put a note here, I'll send you an invite to that beta.
Yeah, that would be great.
That beta test. And I know Damon already asked for an invite too from REI Black, but he's in a mastermind group that I'm in.
Oh, great!
So it's fantastic, from a group called Collective Genius. So,
okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have you just describe your morning routine for 1 second. I'll be right back.
Sure. Well, my morning routine is to get up at 5 a.m. get up, typically go work out, and then I get my kids all ready to get off for school. I do have high school students, so they're somewhat self-sufficient, although they are teenage boys. And typically start checking emails around 6 a.m. when I get back from working out. We do deal with a lot of clients on the East Coast, so there is a little bit of a time difference. So there's typically some things I need to address before I get into the office. But I usually get into the office between 7:30 and 8. I also oversee our loan officers. So I typically do pipeline meetings with them twice a week to see where they're at with their files, if there's things that we need to address. We're a pretty small company, so we're pretty hands-on, open door policy. Then I start dealing with our lenders. I actually sell all the notes, the individual notes, to our one-off lenders.
Wow.
So once those come through underwriting and I've reviewed them and the underwriter and myself agree on moving forward with the loan, then I make the decision whether to fund it to a one-off lender or fund it on our funds. We have two high-yield funds. If you are an accredited lender, meaning you have a net worth of $1 million or more, or there's some income requirements, you can actually deploy money into our funds. And these two funds really are just utilized for two reasons. One, we close our loans through them and then we sell all the notes out of them. So it's not our business model to hold them. But the wonderful thing about our funds is when we sell the note, we keep the spread. So we typically target a 3% spread.
Yep.
And then our second fund has the ability to also go buy property and hold to fix and flip. So we do a little bit of that.
Interesting. How big's the two funds?
Fund one is about $3.5 million.
Okay.
It is not open for any more contributions, but we still utilize it. We have about 2 years left on that fund. They were written at 5 years.
Okay.
And then fund two is $2 million, and we still are open for contributions on that.
That last one is $2 million?
$2 million.
$2 million. Okay. All right. And you're still open on that one?
Yep. Minimum contribution is $50 million or $50,000.
Okay.
I would love $50 million.
Right. Have to open another fund. All right. 50,000 is the minimum on that. And then on your 3.5, it's already closed. No more.
It is. And they're yielding approximately about 12% return.
I was going to ask you on a pref. Is it 8.5 on a pref?
9.
9. Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So, all right, making a few notes here.
Sure.
I'll put these in. Good. Well, that sounds like you have a pretty interesting morning routine. I had to get up here for a second and answer something. What's the single greatest lesson that you've learned to get you where you are today?
To get out of my box, out of my comfort zone, take a risk. I would probably not have considered myself being very risky, previously. But like I said, working on this rehab project that we're working on has opened my eyes to the opportunities. Really just learning that there's resources out there. Just because you don't have $500,000 in a bank account to go buy a bunch of real estate doesn't mean that you can't participate. There's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of people looking to deploy capital. Really just take advantage of that and take the risk to do it.
What's your criteria on your LTV? Is it 65%? And what do you charge? Are you charging points? And what's your criteria?
Our criteria is we will go up to 65% of either as is, and we also do after repair value lending up to 65%.
Okay.
We will also do cash outs up to 50%. That's going to be based off as is.
Okay.
Our prices and fees vary. If you're a stronger borrower and you're bringing some cash into the transaction, you're going to get better pricing.
What's more? Is that 20%? Is that 10%? Is that what's the number?
There's really no exact number. I mean, if you've got 800 credit and you want to bring 10% in, you're going to get better pricing. If you've never done a deal, you don't have any money to contribute, you're probably not going to get the best pricing.
Gotcha.
I say our rates start at 10% and 2 points, and they go up from there.
10% and 2 points?
Yep. It depends on the deal. It depends on the transaction. It depends on the borrower, the strength of the borrower.
Okay. And so you are looking at their credit score then. You're not just looking at the house, the asset.
We don't require it. Some of our borrowers don't want us to pull their credit, and that's fine. A lot of people that have been starting to come to us want us to pull it because they want better pricing. It's competitive out there. There's a lot of private lenders.
I like that aspect of the fact that you make it optional if you want to get better pricing. That's kind of interesting. So I like that.
So it is not required. We don't require credit. And to be super honest with you, we're not looking for a score. I could care less if they had a 600 or an 800. What I want to see is what their payment habits are.
Sure.
Do they never pay anybody, or did they have a small hiccup? Were they affected when the market crashed? I mean, that's not uncommon to see. People that have had some hiccups when the market crashed. So,
right. Especially in 2008, 2009, when sure.
Yeah.
The short sales are all hitting. Yeah, I mean, but I had 60 rental properties. I went through a divorce. My ex had 10. I mean, that's when you can have a spouse had 10 and the other had 10. I mean, it was not fun. But like you said, it was a big lesson learned. Let me ask you another question. What are you most grateful for right now?
I'm really grateful for the opportunity I've received at this company. I came here with a lot of knowledge, and I was grateful for what I learned from the other companies, but the opportunity to really be active in investing in real estate, whether it's, funding some notes with our IRAs or buying real estate, I'm very grateful for that. I don't know that I really would have taken the risk and jumped into it had I not got the education that I've learned working here.
I like that. And do you also create opportunities for self-directed IRAs through
Absolutely.
Okay.
We'll lend. So you can also borrow through your IRA with us. We will do non-recourse loans. And then a lot of our lenders deploy capital through their IRAs. It's really common.
Okay. Interesting. And we do stuff through not equity. What's the Kingdom Trust? Is who?
Oh, I haven't heard of them.
Yeah,
Kingdom Trust.
Kingdom Trust. Yep, one of the guys that used to work at Equity. What am I thinking? The big one. He quit there and started his own company.
Oh, is that the same as Horizon Trust? Was that Horizon Trust at one time? Because that was an Equity Trust employee also.
I don't think it was Horizon. I think
I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, I can. If you make a note here, I can follow up with you on that too. They've been really great. Okay, so let me ask you another question then. How important has a mentor been to your life? Because it sounds like you've been going at this pretty strong for a while. You're athletic, obviously having coaches in your life. How important has been a coach or mentor been in your life? And when would you recommend to someone else, maybe getting started real estate investing, maybe getting started lending, when would you recommend that they get one?
I would recommend as soon as possible. I should have done it a lot sooner. Like you said, it's no different than a coach. It's someone that keeps you accountable, keeps you on track, someone that you can, come back to and bounce ideas off of. Lee Arnold, who is the owner of our company and our CEO, has been a great mentor to me in several different aspects. I mean, he's extremely knowledgeable in the real estate investing industry and a great CEO to work for. So I would say as soon as you can, get involved with a mentor. Just a great thing to keep you on track, keep your professional life moving forward, and to keep your goals within your view and keep you moving forward towards them.
Right. Yep. I like that. I think that you're right on track with it. If you had to summarize it, why do you do what you do? What gets you out of bed in the morning?
I love the fact that I am helping families create wealth for themselves. People that may have been at not necessarily a minimum wage job, but just making enough to get by, actually creating wealth that they can enjoy their life with their families, taking trips, buying lake homes, just doing things that they normally wouldn't be able to do.
You like to be a part of that, to have a contribution to be able to help them do that.
And to leave something to their families. I mean, I have a lot of the lenders that I work with, just saved nickels and dimes as they went. They got to retirement and they have these, $1 million IRAs. And, they were working a job that made $60,000 a year. And now they're making, $150,000 off the interest and traveling all over.
Right.
I love that. I love working with the lenders and also the borrowers, people that, because we took a chance on them and they bought a property, they made a profit, and now they're going to come back and buy another one. We hope that they turn around and come back and be a lender in 10 years.
Right.
Just really helping people that maybe not everybody would have gave a chance to create wealth for themselves.
I like that.
Our clients get me out of bed in the morning.
I like that. Your clients get you out of bed in the morning. That speaks to your emphasis, right? And that's one of the reasons that people want to work with you. And with that, it's actually a great segue into how can someone get in touch with you? How can we serve you? Heather,
Sure.
What can we do to help you in the next 6 to 12 months?
Absolutely. Well, we are always looking to grow our lender database. Most of our new clients come from referrals. They come from, I have a funny story. I have a client that has been a lender of mine for 10 years. And I get a call one day from a gentleman I never heard from, and he gives me his name. And he says, I'm not going to tell you how I know you, but I know what you do. Huh. And I'm thinking, oh, gosh, here we go. And he says, well, my neighbor invests with you, and he was out of town, and I was checking his mail. And I saw your envelopes with his interest checks in them.
That'll do it.
We get a lot of new business from referrals. People are a little conservative and leery when it comes to investing, especially when they've never met you. Right. And so it always makes it better when it's somebody referring someone. Hey, I do this. You should call them. So you can always visit our website at www.securedinvestmentcorp.com.
Okay, let's say that one more time. I'll put it in the show notes as well, but sure. I'm actually typing that out too. So can you say it one more time?
Yep, www.securedinvestmentcorp.com.
Okay.
And that's where you can go to get information about deploying capital. If you are someone that has capital you want to deploy in either notes or the fund, both of them are notes are earning it on average 10 to 13%. The fund is pretty consistently at 12. You can go there. If you're someone looking to borrow money that is looking to finance a project, either that you're purchasing or refinancing, you can go to cogocapital.com.
Okay, so let's say that one again.
It's www.cogocapital.com.
Got it.
And that's where you would go if you're looking to borrow money. So really what you can do for us is, really refer people. If people are out there looking to borrow or deploy, we definitely have lots of opportunities.
Perfect. I'm going to put all this into the show notes so everyone will be able to easily just find a way to get in touch with you very easily. And I'm also going to put you in touch with a few people there in my head while we're having a conversation on this, maybe to explore synergy. I'm always a huge proponent in that. I know that's opened up some of the biggest doors in my life. So thank you again, Heather, for taking the time to be on here. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to, let everybody know who we are. Although we're a little company out of Idaho, we have a pretty broad spectrum of clients. So we're always looking to grow that.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate it very much. Well, thank you again for being on here. Remember, be a servant, just like Heather, doing the servant leadership that she is, killing it with this company. And make sure you're on the next podcast on our Profit Master podcast investing series here, because we're going to continue to bring more rock star guests to give you great guidance, not just information. I really like that word. So there you go.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Bye now. Hi, this is Corey Boatwright, and I have a quick question for you. What is the fastest way to reach your goals? Is it to work harder, work smarter, use system and processes, or hire rock star employees? What about just making more money? Actually, it's none of that. Those things are a byproduct of the one success component that every real estate investor or business owner that I know all have in common. And the answer is clarity. Complete laser focus on what you want, why you want it, and what are you willing to do to get it. So where do you find clarity? By hiring a coach and mentor. Now, could you reach the level of success that you want to achieve by doing this all on your own? The Lone Ranger. Well, maybe, but do you think it would take you double or even triple the time to achieve it compared to hiring a coach and mentor to help guide your path, provide proven instruction with a tailored blueprint that you can follow for building a real estate business that supports your lifestyle and helps you reach your financial and personal goals? Absolutely. Here's the fact. Time isn't recyclable. So I would like to ask you to make good use of it and extend a personal invitation for you to book a phone coaching strategy session by going to callwithcorey.com. That's callwithcorey, Corey spelled CORY.com. I'm going to ask you a few quick questions on that page, and we're going to go over and see how we can make sure that your business is on path to reach the goals that you want this year. So go to callwithcorey.com, that's CORY, and book your phone coaching strategy session today. Remember, be a servant, and I'll see you on there.
You've been listening to another Real Estate Investing Profits Master Podcast Series. To receive your free real estate book, Down and Dirty, Ultimate Real Estate Investing Quick Start Guide, how to quit your job to start flipping houses in 90 days or less, head online and go to realestateinvestingprofits.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Real Estate Investing Profits. Thanks again for listening, and stay tuned for our next episode.